Welcome to Cast of Wonders, the fiction audio magazine for young adults featuring stories of the fantastic. I'm Graham Dunlop. Today we present Part 2 of Tir na Noch by Nathaniel Lee. If you didn't catch Part 1, please go back and listen to Episode 3 of Cast of Wonders. We gave Nathaniel's bio last episode, so check the notes for Episode 3 if you want to know more, but it's worth repeating that he publishes a 100-word story every day at mirrorshards.org. The narration? Well, it's me again. And now, we've a tale to tell. The summer sun was high and hot and gloriously bright. We walked by the side of the highway, preferring the sharp gravel to the frying pan heat of the asphalt. Corn and wheat rustled in gentle waves to either side, acres of fields with a distant dark outline of trees. Our moods improved a little more with every second that passed without the sound of pursuing hoofbeats. Between Turk's gangly speed, Scuzz's traps and my misdirections, we'd left a pretty tangled trail behind us. We were feeling good. We'd beaten a rider. Pah! Turk spat something mangled and brightly coloured. He offered me an open package of candy. Here. Such a gentleman, Turk. I looked at the package. Swedish fish? Thought it'd be fish flavoured, said Turk. Scuzz barked a laugh. You and Simon and your weird thing for fish. I cringed and glanced at Rowena, but she just kept walking, head down, hair covering her face. Maybe she hadn't heard. I like fish, said Turk a little defensively. Yuck, said Scuzz. No blood in them. She gnawed at a spicy stick of dried meat. I saw Simon, said Rowena abruptly. We all turned to look at her. What, in one of your stupid visions? Said Scuzz, shoving another handful of jerky into her mouth. No, said Rowena. I went to see him in his new life. She paused. We waited. He looked happy. Ignorance is bliss, I muttered. It was like he'd always lived there, said Rowena. He was on the swim team. He had friends. I think they even had baby pictures of him. Yeah, it's all prepared, said Scuzz. I think I know what a trap looks like. He's happy, said Turk. That's all that matters. Why'd you do that anyway, said Scuzz. She levelled a sharp-nailed finger at Rowena. You said it was dangerous. What if he'd seen you? You'd have been caught for sure. I think he did see me, said Rowena. He didn't recognise me. Looked right through me like every other mortal does when I want them to. Her voice was light, airy, as though she were discussing the weather, as though it didn't hurt. I wanted to see what it was like, I suppose. We might all end up there soon. What, because they're tearing down the fair? I shook my head. We can stop them. We've done it before. Protected our home, I mean. From a gang of bored teenagers, said Rowena. This will be different. I'd been wishing for the old take-charge Rowena to come back. Now that she was acting like her old self again, she was just annoying me. Typical. We did it before and we'll do it again. There are other options. Rowena spun on Turk, her eyes flashing. Such as? Going to live with Crail and his hooligans over in the Monster Mansion? Please, I'd rather go with the Riders. I shuddered. Don't say that, Weena. Bad luck. Turk shrugged. Scuzz's beady black eyes darted between Turk and Rowena. What do you mean? She said. What's he talking about? He means the hill, I said. Going to the other side. That gave even Scuzz pause. She rallied quickly, though. She always did. I don't see what's so bad about Crail's gang. He's fun.
He told me I have an invitation any time I want it.
My eyebrows rose. When did that happen?
I do lots of stuff you don't know about,
said Scuzz, sniffing.
Just 'cause I'm short don't mean I'm helpless alone.
She bared her teeth in her feral grin. It's because Simon left, isn't it? I said. I didn't manage to keep the sharp tone out of my voice. That's when everything started falling apart. I didn't look at Rowena, who'd gone quiet behind her curtain of hair.
It's not my fault he took his candy ass and ditched us. I didn't owe him anything. I still don't. Neither do you, even if you want to pretend you did. He left us, remember?
She jabbed a dagger-like finger at me with each syllable. I felt my fists ball up. My wings fluttered. They always betrayed my moods, more even than my face. Turk rumbled something deep in his throat and interposed himself between us. I opened my mouth, but before I could speak, Rowena stirred again. It's here, she said. We heard it then, a distant rumble like a summer storm, though the skies were clear. I spotted a black speck far down the road, but growing rapidly nearer.
A motorcycle,
Scuzz sneered. A rider, Rowena said. A guy's, like ours, I said. Scuzz blinked.
They can do that?
I shrugged. Either that or Weena's gone completely insane. I didn't say that I thought that very well might be true. She was nowhere near stable, that's for sure. It's a rider, said Turk. I glanced at his algae-coloured face. His gills pulsed on his neck. He looked down, meeting my gaze. What do we do? Why are you asking me? I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to cry. I wanted Rowena to instruct me. I wanted Simon back. I wanted everything back, back how it used to be. There was one thing I didn't want. I didn't want the rider to catch us. They left remnants sometimes, a warning or a boast. I don't know how riders think. I'm not even sure they do think. But I've seen the broken, bubbling husks they've left behind. If I closed my eyes, I could see the others, like they'd be after the riders came. I could see Rowena. She was so fragile, more now than ever. She didn't need any more tears on her cheeks. We run, I said.
Even Turk can't outrun a motorcycle.
So we go where it can't follow, my little goblin buddy. Scuzz blinked. Kind words always confused her. Into the fields, I went on. I'll stay behind and cover you. Turk frowned, his canines dimpling his lower lip.
Kind of dangerous. I mean, better you than me, but...
It's the best way, said Rowena. This plan has the highest probability of success. I smiled at her. There was a light in her eyes again, a dangerous gleam, but better than the flat emptiness that lived there so often lately. She smiled back at me with half of her mouth. Scuzz didn't need to be told twice. Honestly, I was kind of touched she'd protested as much as she had. She darted to the side into the cornstalks, crunching through the fallen fragments of last year's crop. Rowena followed, melting away with hardly a whisper. Turk took a step back, nodded once, and pushed into the field after the girls, bending to keep his head below the corn's tufted tips. I turned to the road and the dark shape that roared toward me. I could make out some details already. Black leather, black everything really, and the marble pale gleam of the rider's face. It would be icy still, I knew, and white as bone, but its eyes would be dark. Serpent's eyes, shark's eyes, and behind those perfectly shaped lips. I calmed my breathing and reached my arms out to either side. This would not be easy. It would take subtlety of a sort. The riders could smell it when we touched the sideways part. It drew them like flies to a corpse. One rider could take out an entire gang of runaways easy, maybe even several working together. I was alone, but the corn pollen was swirling up into the air, disturbed by my friend's passage. Not a lot this late in the year, but some. Enough, I hoped. The flowers, the pollen, the burgeoning seeds, it was a bank of energy, a bubbling cauldron of potential. I could do a major working with that kind of power, try to match strength with the rider directly. Or I could do this. A trickle of power leaked from inside of me, from the part that was sideways to the rest of the world, and the energy of the dancing pollen started to crystallize around me. I flowed out into it, into the web I'd spun, spreading further and further away. I didn't try to hide, to craft a veil and hope that the rider didn't pierce it. Instead, I used the rider's own keen senses against it. I shouted my presence, announced it to the world, filled every field and copse for miles around with the flavour of me. For a brief moment I was everywhere, barely anything left in my stupid half-and-half body, my mind swirling in 100 eddies, peeking out from 1,000 different places in new bodies that grew with the sun and never asked questions. I was free. It was almost like flying. Down the road, the rumbling engine slowed. The rider smelled me everywhere. Smelled me, not my friends. Smelled Bumblebee instead of Turk, instead of Scuzz, instead of Rowena. The downside to this plan, of course, was that there was a centre to the spell, and at that centre was one half-grown, half-girl, half-fairy who'd just bitten off a lot more than she could chew. I pulled down the strongest veil I dared to risk and ran for the cornfield across the road. The hot tar burned my feet. In the distance, I heard an engine snarl and tyres squeal like a whinnying horse. I ran through the forest. I could hear the rider behind me not as a sound, but as an absence of sound. All the creatures of the woods went silent when it passed. I could still hear the purr of its motorcycle in the distance. I knew better than to try and steal it, even if I'd known how to drive one. Their mounts were loyal to them. My veil kept it from knowing my exact location, but it knew roughly where I was. It followed my physical traces as much as its own sideways senses. Even moving slowly and carefully, even without its mount, it was faster than I was. I needed to lose it. Circling back, I veered too near. I caught a glimpse of shiny black through the trees. The rider stopped, head cocked, then turned in my direction. It cast about from side to side like a dog catching a scent. It aimed something at me, or at least my general direction. Some kind of gun, I think. I dodged behind a tree as there was a soft click sound, and the foliage around me exploded as dozens of pellets whipped through the trees and the underbrush. I felt a sting in my left arm and then nothing. I touched my skin, but I couldn't feel anything. The skin was unbroken, but totally numb. It was cold to the touch. I ran some more. The rider was poking into the underbrush in a rough semicircle. Looking for my fallen body? Tough luck, cowboy, I thought. My spell started to fade after an hour or so. Sometimes I wished I wasn't as good at misdirection as I am. I was flagging, and the rider was still behind me, though falling further back. I came to a field of kudzu, the clinging vines covering the other plants in a thick blanket of glossy green leaves. No way could I get across it without leaving a trail that might as well be a neon sign saying, "She's over here." I glanced over my shoulder. No sign of the rider yet. This might be my best chance. I took a deep breath and concentrated. I couldn't use any sideways on this. It had to be all me. My wings fluttered, moving more coherently, with more purpose. I focused more. The fluttering became a purr, then a hum. I knew they'd be nearly invisible now, like hummingbird wings. Slowly, I lifted up into the air, a few inches above the soil. The effort was almost too much. My vision started spiralling in, darkness flickering at the edges of my sight. My back ached like someone had slapped me with a hot iron. I pushed myself forward, flailing my arms for balance. My toes brushed the lips of the trees as I passed over. On the far side, I collapsed against a tree. I still had to hide. I dropped to the ground and whispered to the kudzu, just the barest flicker of sideways, and the wide leaves rustled slightly as they shifted to cover me. I tucked my head under my arms, trying to cover the bright colours of my hair, and willed my exhausted wings to stillness. I heard the field go quiet when the rider arrived, the insects and birds silenced by its presence. I paced the far edge of the field looking for my trail. I cowered in my shelter of vines, my lips shaping desperate pleas. The rider snuffled, then snorted. Then, I swear by the sun and stars, it chuckled. The field came alive again when it left, heading back the way it came. I lay frozen on the ground, not daring to move until the sun touched the horizon. And so ends part 2. Hope you enjoyed the story. Join us next time for the final part, and visit our forums to tell us what you think. Cast of Wonders is released under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license, so you can share this story with as many people as you like, but you aren't allowed to change it or sell it. Until next time.